Actually, we have more. We have actually more missing episodes.
We do.
You know, that when Arthur did the acid and dug up Maud's third husband. I mean, there are a lot of episodes out there we know about.
I think, okay. I was going to say, let's not mention Maud. Let's try it 1 week. Can we do it?
I don't think we can.
It's the Seti Bimco Show with your hosts, Tim and John. One has the looks and one has the cryptocurrency.
We should say Dirk and Marcy. Remember, that's good luck. It's bad luck not to say their names.
Dirk and Marcy, yes, but don't say it 3 times in front of a mirror.
No. It's not good luck to say their names, but it's bad luck to not say their name. All right. It's the Seti Bimco Show. But we're not numbering anymore.
We're not numbering anymore. You can see it. The number is when you download the episode. You can tell.
It's the show.
We quite honestly don't know where we are right now.
I do. But it's the show where we talk about high school embarrassments or weirdness in real life and in movies. And this week, I got the quintessential high school movie because it's about a babysitter.
Mm-hmm.
But before we talk about that, is there things you wanted to talk about?
No, I mean, I have a feeling like I kind of overreacted to George's criticism of what I thought was an amphibian. But I'm going to chalk it up.
You mean when you were stabbing that doll off while you were talking about it?
Yeah, I think I had because I always have like a cup of hot tea and I have a cup of coffee and then I have some sort of fruit drink. So I think I had too much caffeine and or sugar in my system.
Right.
And then the more I think about it, the nuns were probably the ones who told me. It was like a very simple definition of amphibian.
Oh, yeah.
Creatures that live in both the water and on the land.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they told us turtles, or maybe I just thought turtles. But then again, the nuns also told us there was an invisible man in the sky that created the world in 6 days. So maybe I shouldn't be shocked that maybe they gave me some misinformation.
True. Well, I don't remember you.
George, if I sounded hostile to you.
I don't remember you being that hostile.
I was like, listen, George, words hit like a fist. The reason why that girl didn't want to go out with you in high school is because you corrected her about amphibians. Yes, and had nothing to do with her with your thinking that you were gay. I thought it came off as a little hostile. And if it did, I want to apologize for George O'Connor because, I don't know George that well, but the one time that I have met him online, he seemed like a decent enough guy.
I just saw him.
Even if he's only doing 4 Norse mythology graphic novels.
I just saw him last night. We another friend named Chris. He wanted to get out of the house and go to one of those. You'll be very jealous, John. Trivia night at the bar. Mm-mm. We can sit outside and you sign up on your phone and we compete. And we were in first place because what the first category was? Puppets. And George was there and I was there and there was only one Muppet question.
Okay.
The rest were other various
Kukla, Fran, and Ollie.
That's what I said.
Was Kukla, Fran, and Ollie?
Nope, they weren't. That's what I said to George. I was like, he was like, how many famous puppets are there? And I'm like, Kukla, Fran, and Ollie. And
Lamb Chop.
Which one?
Lamb Chop. Sherry Lewis and Lamb Chop.
Yeah. Oh, and Carol on Maude. She was actually a Muppet. I don't think people realize that.
She was a Muppet. After the first season.
Wait till George finds out. He loves Muppets.
Yeah.
But
Howdy Doody wasn't a puppet as much as he was a marionette. I believe.
Yeah. And there was that little on Captain Kangaroo. There were puppets.
Oh yeah. Wasn't there like a rabbit?
Yes. A rabbit that obviously Mr. Captain was using his hand right there. He wasn't trying to hide it at all. Mm-hmm. I knew.
Mm-hmm. Well, we were as children. We were stupider back then too.
But I knew.
But you knew. Tim knew. I didn't. I never noticed.
But we started to lose with the geography, and then there was a song by Taylor Swift we didn't know, and we started going down we were like...
Yeah, okay, Taylor Swift might have... I could have helped you with geography.
Yeah.
My brother could have helped you with geography.
Okay. Well,
but
we were...
Alas, we weren't there.
Well, out of 50, we were in 13th place at the end, but we were...
Well, that's not too shabby.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not too shabby.
So, sorry, I took over the whole what happened this week. And
That's quite all right, because I really had nothing happen this week.
I watched the new Star Trek, which you blew my mind. I didn't know this, that Gregory Peck's grandson is in it, playing Spock.
Yes. Ethan Peck, I believe, is his name.
Yeah.
And the name of that is Strange New Worlds.
Mm-hmm. Are you enough of a Trek fan to know what it's about?
No, I'm not. Because didn't Ethan Peck also play Spock? Isn't there another series on Paramount Plus where he played Spock as well?
Oh, it was yes. This is a spinoff of Star Trek Discovery.
Discovery, okay.
There was a pilot shot for Star Trek, the original series. It didn't sell. And Lucy said, do another one. I like the show.
Uh-huh.
And the only character they kept was Spock. So there's this whole pilot, which you can like rent it. It's Captain Pike. And later on in the original series, they made a 2-part episode where Spock has to help his old captain, and he's in a wheelchair. Do you remember this?
No, I don't think.
Well, they use footage of this unused pilot as an episode where Spock had to help his old captain. So it's part of canon, and this series is the captain before Kirk on the Enterprise with Spock and Cadet Uhura, and then other characters that we never saw. So that's what the show's about.
Well, there you go. So if you wait long enough, if you wait 55 years, it'll all come back around.
It's funny you said that. It's people are saying it took 55 years for this pilot to go to series.
Yeah.
With all different characters.
Hope it was worth the wait. well, seriously, no, I'm asking your opinion. What was your
Well, I liked it. I didn't think it was as strong of a pilot as like Deep Space Nine had. But.
Okay. Are you
am I going to watch?
Are you getting Star Trek out? Do you think there's just too much out there at once? Do you think they should be spacing it out more? What do you think?
Well, they do. They have like 5 shows, and once one ends, they do another series. So.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, if it's good, it's fine. I think you can burn anything out. But like I said to you a while ago, they're just competing with Disney Star Wars content.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and perhaps there's too much of that out, too. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I think so, even though I don't watch it.
Quality, not quantity.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember in the 80s. And that's really kind of when I really started getting into Star Trek. I can remember in New York as a kid, I think it was Channel 11 that used to show it. Or maybe it was Channel 5. I can't remember. And I would catch it from time to time, but my brothers wanted to watch other things, so I very rarely got to see it.
That's why you didn't see it.
And then I started getting into Star Trek when the movies came out in like the 80s.
Well, we're going to get to that today, John. That's a good segue. Yeah. Oh, my God.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
That's a segue. Let's talk about this movie.
Yes.
This week we're talking about a movie that... I picked this movie.
You picked this movie, Tim.
And it stars Star Trek's William Shatner and Mrs. Patty Duke
Aston.
She was, Patty Duke Aston
at this time. Patty Duke Aston at the time. She did a lot of match games as Patty Duke Aston.
Oh.
I do remember that.
Was that early 70s?
This was like 70s, early 80s, yeah.
Because we should say here, I'd want to make fun of her. I guess she had problems. She had bipolar, and I read about her. Reading about her life was just a whole sad thing. When she was a child star, her agents were sexually
the Rosses.
making advances on her. Then she became bipolar, and I looked up her 1970 Emmy speech, which people said like she must be drunk or something.
Yeah.
And it's a very disjointed speech. Some people think she was having a bipolar.
Right, she was having a manic episode or a depressive episode.
So, yeah.
And, now she went to Notre Dame High School in Manhattan, which was run by the Sisters of St. Ursula, who were also the nuns that ran the Catholic high school that my mother went to.
Oh, my goodness.
In Kingston, St. Ursula.
Okay.
And the two schools would get together. And I think Patty Duke was a year younger than my mother, and my mother used to sit and talk to her all the time.
What? Oh, because she was she already on TV at that point as the...
Yeah, she was already, I think she had already won the Oscar at that point. Maybe
for the Miracle Worker.
For the Miracle Worker, yeah. Beat out Angela Lansbury for the Manchurian Candidate. People still say that was the performance that should have won it, but...
I love that movie as a kid. Miracle
Worker. The Miracle Worker?
Yeah. Or
and then
am I thinking of Willy Wonka?
Or maybe it was Willy Wonka. She at one point she goes, wah, wah. What? That might have been Willy Wonka. I think that was Willy Wonka. I think you're right, Tim.
I don't know what you just.
I think she got sucked. She fell into the chocolate lake
yeah.
and got sucked up the tube, and all you could hear her say was "wah wah," and then she got sucked right up.
Yes. But wait, I don't mean this. That your mom was in school with her. You have all these connections.
They went to sister schools.
Yeah, but
and twice a year, I think the girls from it would just be a day trip, and the girls from St. Ursula would go down to Notre Dame. And then the girls from Notre Dame would come up to St. Ursula in Kingston. And they were kind of just like little socials. And,
and how many?
Always lot.
Was your mom nice to her? I hope.
My mother was very nice to her. And actually, Patty Duke, she said Patty Duke was always very nice to her.
Because I thought there'd be a lot of jerks at school. They're like, say, so Patty. So does a hot dog really make you lose control?
I know. Well, you couldn't say that in the Catholic. And then all girls Catholic. So that's probably why they sent her there. In public school, the boys would be like, hey, Patty, I heard a hot dog makes you lose control. So that's why she couldn't go to public. Like, she can go to, like, PS 179. She had to go to Notre Dame.
I never understood that lyric. It's,
even
as a kid, I'm like, what?
I think it was to establish Patty's red-blooded Americanism as opposed to Kathy's Scottish aloofness.
Couldn't they say apple pie? Couldn't they just say apple pie? Apple pie makes her lose control.
Maybe it couldn't fit into the melody. Hot dog makes her lose control. She is such an all-American girl that she can't look at a hot dog without going.
Maybe pumpkin pie.
Bonkers. Or maybe it was a double entendre. Yeah. So Patty Duke and William Shatner.
Yes. Let's get on with this movie.
A made-for-TV movie, I might add.
A made-for-TV movie. And you know what happened, John?
What happened?
I put my notes down. I didn't write a synopsis, so I'm going to wing it.
Oh, wing it.
A strange, mysterious babysitter shows up at what was their last name? The
Benedicts.
The Benedicts.
Yes.
And soon turns their lives upside down. There.
Although I don't know how far they had to go to be turned upside down, but I'm going to hold back on that for a little while.
There's my synopsis.
No, it wasn't. I mean, they weren't exactly we know that. Okay, Stephanie Zimbalist, who achieved fame as I don't even know the name of her character.
Remington Steele. Was that her name on the show? I never saw it either.
No, I don't know what her name on the show was.
Okay,
but she was the lead in Remington Steele with Pierce Brosnan in the 80s. I never saw an episode of that, and that's about the only thing I ever knew her from.
Yeah.
So this was before that.
This was written by Jennifer Miller. I looked her up on IMDb, and I think she basically wrote only movies like this that might be on Lifetime if it existed when she was writing movies.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because I cut and pasted the plot to another movie she wrote, and I'm going to read that now.
Okay. And if I close my eyes, I'm going to think you're talking about The Babysitter. Is that what you're trying to tell me? No,
it's just an example of the other movies she wrote.
Okay.
Kate has a vintage clothing store. She attends her nasty dad's birthday party family gathering where she meets Harry. But she's dating Philip, but he's dull, contrary to Harry. It's like I said, be on Lifetime if it existed back then.
Or Hallmark, yeah.
Maybe, Hallmark.
Right, yeah. She tries to make, and then she makes the choice and she goes with the safe guy, and then she realizes the error of her ways, but she's already offended the fun guy.
Yes.
You've got 10 minutes to straighten it out.
I hope, not 45 minutes.
This movie, Jeff Benedict and his wife Liz, played by William Shatner, and Patty Duke Aston.
Yes. And that kid actor, did she win an Oscar in The Goodbye Girl? Or that
she got nominated. She got nominated for Best Supporting Actress for that.
She went on to,
and even and she was the foster child or the adopted daughter on Family with Chrissy McNichol and Meredith Baxter.
Yes,
and even as child actors go, I'm sorry, I'm going to say this. Her name was Quinn Cummings, and even as child actors go, I always found her very annoying. I don't know why. I just always thought she was a very annoying child.
So we crossed her off as a guest on this show.
We crossed her off as a guest on this show.
I've been giving her...
Why, did you have her lined up? We could always edit it out, Tim.
I've been sending out feelers. This family seemed to be in trouble, as it was. But it just starts off with this woman running around in the woods. And Tara,
yes,
the 12-year-old, seems to be chasing her and looking for her. And it's I'll just say it's a confusing opening. If you saw a teenager in the woods as a kid, I don't know if you would chase after them or...
Yeah, I don't know about that either.
Anyway.
I think I'd be just like, ooh, weird kid, let me...
And this is after Star Trek Motion Picture. So I'm wondering why Shatner... This is 1980.
Right. And was the motion picture 79?
Oh, 77 or something? Was it 77? It was not, yeah. And then Wrath of Khan was 81. So I think you're right. So I wonder if he filmed this before Star Trek, the motion picture. You don't have to look.
No, well, you figure though, I mean, you film like something, a movie's normally filmed like, unless it's a blockbuster, they're rushing to get out. Normally, like a movie would be like, that would have been in the can for at least a year.
Right. For TV.
Before they actually release it. So maybe he did the Star Trek movie and the Wrath of Khan was still in the air and he wasn't getting any work. And they're like, hey, you want to be in a TV movie with Patty Duke Aston?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I got to pay the mortgage. So,
well, I heard that like after Star Trek, he was on every show as a guest star, every Western, every detective show. I was looking at his IBDM.
Yeah.
And he had an interview somewhere where he said after Star Trek being popular, he was like living in a trailer somewhere because some kid came to his door and asked for a signed picture of Captain Kirk. So I think he's a guy that's like, if you offer me a movie, you're going to pay me money, I'm going to do it because...
Right, yeah.
He'd been famous once. Star Trek motion picture was not super loved. I don't know if it made I think it made a lot of money, but...
It made a lot of money, but how much did they pay them?
Yes. They got a lot of money for Wrath of Khan, I think. So.
Right, because then it was like, okay, now we got something going here. But yeah, I'm sure to get them back. I mean, they were doing the voices to the animated series.
Let's move on. We're losing listeners.
We are losing listeners. And who else do you want to go over who else is in the cast?
Oh, John Huston. I think that's about it. It's a small
John Houseman.
Houseman?
Academy Award winner. Houseman.
Not Houston.
Yes.
That's a different guy.
Yeah. Houseman was he won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for The Paper Chase.
I know about movies, and here I'm saying John Houseman.
That's
John
all
Huston.
right. It's like you kept calling Joan Crawford Joan Collins when we were talking about Trog. It's okay. I know what you mean.
And when Mr. Adam Pittman was on, I'm like, I'm a political junkie. I want to ask you about this. And he's like, and my neighbor is
Ryan Zinke.
And I'm like, who's that? I'm a political junkie.
But in your time, there was just so much going on and keeping track of Elaine Chao and Betsy DeVos and Mike Pence and Mark Meadows and Sean Spicer. And I could understand where you probably just kind of lost track of like, it sounds familiar, Ryan Zinke.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Basically, he was getting ready to sell all the mining rights in every national park.
That's true.
Yeah.
Anyway, before we get too political, where was I? Mm-hmm. So this is a family, and this mysterious girl shows up. Oh, what's her name? Her name is
Joanna. That was it. Yes.
So she's like, I guess 18. We establish, and she hangs around the house. And William Shatner's wife is like, "I like you. How about you live with us?"
Yeah, because I know that Stephanie Zimbalist is supposed to be the crazy one in here, but the rest of them really aren't too far behind her. You know what I'm saying, Tim?
Yes, I know.
Yes, Joanna. Yes, is the part.
Before we get there, I forgot. The mom puts the kid in the car, and they're going to go somewhere, and she's like, "Wait a minute, I got to go in the house." And the kid just like, "Okay, let's." The kid just like takes the steering wheel and starts driving down the driveway.
Yeah,
she only stopped because she saw the mysterious Joanna.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that was...
And her scary doll. I must mention her scary doll.
Yes, she kept walking around with that doll, and she had dolls all over her bedroom. She was a very immature 12-year-old.
12 can be,
I know it can be that borderline age, but I think her parents actually, or at least her mother, kind of encouraged it.
12 is the age where you'll go out in the woods and find underwear and think that's just normal.
It's just a normal thing, finding underwear in packages. Yeah.
Flashback. Go back and listen to episode, I don't know, 6.
Don't worry about it. If they've been along for the ride, they know what we're talking about.
So they hire her to live in her house. No checking of papers, no resume,
no
nothing.
Nothing.
And she, I'll say now, is always wearing a very tight little tank top, or not much in her on her top.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's and that scene where she gets introduced to William Shatner, Dr. Benedict. Was that you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
She walks in and they do this close up on Shatner. Much so I thought, oh, do they know each other? But it was just this long shot of him going, oh,
yeah,
hubba hubba.
Ooh, hubba hubba, yeah.
Very strange scene. So she gets hired. She does visit the house she used to work at now and then and talk. Mm-hmm. It's empty. She's talking to somebody.
Plastic all over the place. That's foreshadowing.
Yes. This babysitter starts she's like the nanny. She can cook and clean, taking care of the daughter. I guess it's summer break.
Yeah, the family she was working for had gone off to Europe.
Yes.
Said she could stay in the house, but she says she has to find another job before she goes off to college in the fall.
So she's wonderful, and then there's a cocktail party for these people. They live around a lake, yes. Boats. As soon as I saw boats, I'm like, well, who's going to die in the lake? But they have a cocktail party, and the talk of the party is the new 18-year-old babysitter. Seems like appropriate conversation for adults to have at a cocktail party. But I don't know if you noticed. Everybody's like, ooh, I love your new babysitter, housekeeper. Ooh. Where'd you find her? Where can we find a young girl?
With my husband going through his midlife crisis. That would be perfect. What could possibly go wrong?
And William Shatner's a dentist. One of his patients is named Mrs. Bacon. I don't know if you noticed that.
I did notice that.
I thought, is that a joke I'm not getting?
Wouldn't it be funny if she was Jewish?
I bet you that was some strange fight with Shatner. Where they were like...
Yes, Mrs. Bacon, I'd love to come for the first night of Hanukkah. That would have been hilarious.
I think in the script it was like, the name was Mrs. Honeysuckle. And Shatner, I don't know if you know, he's hard to work with sometimes, I've heard.
Yeah, I've heard
and Shatner's probably like, I don't know. How about Mrs. Bacon? I don't know about Mrs. Honeysuckle.
I don't know about Mrs. Honeysuckle. I don't know if I can say suckle.
And they're like, no.
No, it's honeysuckle.
Script says honeysuckle.
Yeah. And he just kept saying bacon, and finally at take 18, they're okay, fine. I don't care why we can't. We got to get this TV movie done in 10 days. Okay, fine. It's Mrs. Bacon.
So you heard the tapes of him on Star Trek when he had to say it was sabotage, and he keeps saying sabotage, and the script person, you can hear him say the line is sabotage, and he's like, no, but it's said. Pronounced sabotage. They keep doing. I send this to you. It's on YouTube.
I'll have to check it out. Well, probably as a Canadian, he was still trying to master our language,
and he was just too embarrassed, and so he's going to stick to it. It's like, no, it's pronounced.
He was Canadian, and he was still learning our language. He was an immigrant on our shores, and still learning our language, and that's why it.
Sorry, I don't know why I think that's so funny.
It is fun.
So,
it is fun.
Cut to the next scene. Joanna is still wearing tight tank tops.
Yeah, just not a lot to the imagination. And
she so anyway, she pushes the daughter to go swimming, and the mother's freaking out, which I was like, I agree with the babysitter. She could swim to that. She swims out to a little buoy, pronounced Bowie.
Bowie.
I'm sticking to it.
I'm sticking to it. That's what Shatner kept saying. That's why they had to take him out of that scene. Shatner was in the scene originally. He kept saying Bowie.
Yes.
And they're like, no.
He came down to
we'll give you Mrs. Bacon, but you're out of this scene, bud. Go back to your trailer.
Go back to the dentist office.
Yeah.
Which he was always late coming home. And the mom is like, I know he's got a girlfriend. We never get confirmation or denial of that. But the mom's unhappy. So Joanna, the babysitter, introduces alcohol, the cure to all our problems.
Yes, and they've moved from Chicago, where she did have a drinking problem.
That's right. She got
and they moved her, and she goes, "I haven't had a drink in a year," and like the babysitter Joanna is like, "Well, one drink isn't going to do anything to you." She's plotting. She's plotting.
Yes, one drink, and this joint, just one joint, one drink,
just one joint, just one drink. Here are a couple lines of Coke. Just do one or two. It'll be fine. You'll be fine. And then she starts playing them against each other because she's telling her, "Well, you don't need to listen to your husband. One drink isn't going to kill you." Mm-hmm. And then she tells the husband later, "I told her not to drink."
Right.
So already it's starting where she's two-faced.
She's a mastermind.
She is a mastermind.
And not long after that, Joanna's like, "I'm going to go to the movies. Can I have a night off?" And she's like, worked every night.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, of course. Go to the movies. And take Tara, too." She doesn't even ask her what movie she's going to.
Right, yeah.
It's 1980. I think they're going to see Cruising.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. Don't get too hung up on some guys, Tara, because it's a losing battle.
I don't think she did take her to the movies. I don't know what happened that night.
No, she didn't. I don't remember. I don't even recall. No, I don't even recall Liz, the Patty Duke character, telling her to take Tara. I think she just said, "Oh, sure, have the night off."
No, she did. Yeah, she said it. I thought that was funny because, again, she's a mom who's like, "Whatever. I don't care what you're going to do. Take Tara."
Yeah.
And she misses the ferry back, and they don't know where she is all night. She never explains where she went.
No.
I half expected to find out she went and murdered Shatner's girlfriend. You didn't think
been
that?
A plot twist.
Yes. Well, Scotty. He's.
I was wondering when you were going to get to Scotty.
You know a lot about him, right?
Well, now I do.
He's in a lot of soap operas, which you watched some of those.
Yes.
You didn't know of him before this?
I mean, I vaguely remember him on General Hospital. I mean, when I talk about I watch the soaps, it would be I couldn't watch them every day because I was in school.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I mean, there were just certain days a week I could, because I was going to talk about Star Trek Voyager with Miss Kate Mulgrew, who was the original Mary Ryan Finelli on Ryan's Hope, an ABC soap opera.
Really?
Which was my favorite soap opera.
Okay.
Ryan's Hope, because it was an Irish family in New York.
Gotcha.
Anyway. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's where she got her start on Ryan's Hope.
But who
she was Captain? Oh, she was Captain Janeway.
I know. I know where's that.
And then she was Big Red on Orange Is the New Black.
Yep.
Okay, but I agree. Yes, David Wallace, who was Scotty, John Houseman's grandson, who played
chess. Well, he was playing chess with John Houseman.
But no, the part he played
was
in Mazes and Monsters.
Well, I didn't even know what. How'd I miss that?
Yes, he was the blonde guy in Mazes and Monsters, remember? Who said that my dad would be so proud if I found the treasure? What was his name in Mazes and Monsters?
He's the one person I didn't look. I just saw, he's in soap operas. Okay, Scotty. And I moved on. How did I know?
Oh, I thought that's why you picked it. Because I thought that would have been the running joke.
Back up and edit. I picked this movie because Scotty's in here from Mazes and Monsters.
From Mazes and Monsters. And now I've totally forgotten what his name was in Mazes and Monsters.
Frederick.
But anyway, Frederick, yes. Yeah.
Name is Frederick.
No, that was his name Frederick? Was that his name?
No, it was Pardue.
Pardue. We can remember. He was Daniel. In Mazes and Monsters.
Our producer needs to come in here and straighten the show out.
I thought that was the reason why you picked it. So I thought it was going to be your little inside joke.
Yeah, it was. It was, and now I'm pretending. I'm pretending. I'm pretending. I didn't know. I'm sticking to it.
I just can't believe. Oh my gosh! I thought that's why I was that's why I kept on going. And who else was in the movie? And who else was in the movie? And you're like John Huston.
There's too many stars in this movie.
And John Huston, and it's okay, I'll let that slide. And I thought eventually you were going to get to Scotty, a.k.a. David Wallace, a.k.a. Daniel from Mazes and Monsters.
Totally. I was focusing. I read Patty Duke's, biography. I was reading everything that William Shatner's been in.
And may I say, I mean, and I'm not making fun of Patty Duke. because she came clean about it. She needed to be medicated and she was unmedicated.
Yes.
I don't know how much acting she was doing in this movie because I think this was still at the unmedicated stage.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, or maybe it was acting and maybe I'm not giving her enough credit.
Maybe.
But it's like,
she does have a breakdown in this movie.
Were you or weren't you? And just, she had that look in her eyes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because she does have a actual breakdown in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And she did a good job at that.
She did a very good job. I'm saying how much of it was acting and how much of it was.
Her husband took her to the bed, put her to bed. He came out and started making out with the babysitter, like you do after your wife has a mental breakdown.
Get her sedated so she won't wake up and catch you, and then start making out with the nanny. Tale as old as time.
Yes, and so the neighbor takes them out boating, takes out the babysitter, Shatner, his daughter, and of course, while on the boat, the babysitter is kind of flirting with Shatner, and Shatner like strokes her face. I'm like, "What are you doing at the boat?" He's like, "No, this isn't going to happen." But he's stroking her face. This isn't going to happen. But I'm still like,
make up your mind, dude. Make up your mind.
And they catch a fish, and Joanna beats it to death.
Well, because Quinn Cummings is Tara is supposed to be
the daughter.
Scotty's like, Scotty, a.k.a. David Wallace, a.k.a. Daniel from Mazes and Monsters says, come on, you got to hit it harder. And then just Joanna comes up and just like is and like everybody's just like mouths agape, like, oh my God. I wonder if they eat that fish.
No.
That fish died a terrible death. I'll bet you that there's too much adrenaline was running through it, and I'll bet you that meat was really tough.
The fish wasn't even armed.
What did the fish do?
The fish handed over its wallet. The fish gave her his wallet and everything. She still beat it to death.
Still beat it to death. It's just like, what did that fish do to deserve a death like that? That was the most upsetting scene in this.
Well, was Daniel still interested in her after that? I think he was. Because at that point, I'd be Scotty. At that point,
he was Daniel in Mazes and Monsters.
Scotty,
a.k.a. David Wallace, a.k.a. Daniel from Mazes and Monsters. Yes, was interested.
He was, she was kind of leading him on.
Okay, first of all, let's just stop right. Let me just stop you in mid-stream. First of all, Stephanie Zimbalist, who's got to be pushing 30 at this point, is playing an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
And David Wallace, who's mid-20s, is playing a 16-year-old.
Right. Yes, I know.
Oh yeah, he was a 16-year-old. He just wanted to get down her pants. He didn't care. And sometimes the crazy ones are the ones who want to, they're the most fun.
More editing
until the morning. Until the morning after. But anyway.
So John,
you seem to be saying anyway a lot this episode, Tim. All right, John. Anyway.
What was I saying before that? Oh yeah. So the fish is dead. The fish is mashed to well, we talked about that. Then she had a breakdown.
Well, yeah, okay. So
you were talking about their age. 16 years old, yes.
Yeah. David Wallace is supposed to be 16. Stephanie Zimbalist is supposed to be 18. It's like, and
who?
A little girl, Quinn Cummings, who I think actually was 12 or maybe 14.
Yeah, I think she was.
She actually was playing her age, so she's supposed to be 40 years younger than David Wallace.
Yes. Anyway, at that point, that's when you give up. You see the woman beat a fish to death, but I think he was still sticking around.
Oh, yeah. That's why I was saying, I can't say that again because we're going to lose all this audience. Because, no, he's still pursuing her.
Yes.
Later they're on the boat, and he's like, well, you want to do something tonight or tomorrow? And she's like, well, I'm kind of busy tomorrow. He's like, well, that's what you told me yesterday and the day before that and the day before that. So, yeah, he's still hung up on her.
Yeah, she went home and put on the wife's nightgown. I forget where the wife was. Oh, I'm skipping. They went to a party where now Shatner's wife has started drinking because the babysitter, Joanna, has introduced her to alcohol again. And so she's drunk at the party, and Shatner's doing that thing like, I think we should go. We're drunk, and she's like, I'm staying.
And all the while, John Houseman is suspicious of the babysitter from the get-go. Like, just from the get-go, he is suspicious about her when nobody else is.
I was going to say this movie would have been 10 minutes if there was Facebook, because John spends most of the movie going places saying, "Can you tell me where she's from?" And some clerk saying, "No, you're not allowed to know that." Or he's calling somebody on the phone. It's "Could you know what this woman?" And she's like, "No, I don't want to talk about her." Why are you asking?
Yeah.
But today,
so for whatever reason, he never does really explain why he's suspicious about it. He just has a gut feeling.
Yes. But at this party, the funniest bit is, again, Mr. Shatner, after he asks her to go, and she's like, "I'm staying." He's like, "Okay, good night." And he drinks his drink, and he turns around to leave. I don't know if you saw this. And then he turns around again and does this bow, like, "Okay." And turns around again. He does a few things like, "I'm getting the most out of the scene that I can get." Because I don't.
He's like, I got an idea. Don't turn the cameras off and don't yell cut. I got this great idea. It's going to make the movie.
But did you see
I'm going to turn around and I'm going to bow.
I don't know. I just was laughing. So that's why she's not home. His wife is not home. The babysitter puts on her nightgown. Mm-hmm. And I think he caresses her cheek and says, this isn't going to happen.
This isn't going to happen. Yeah.
And of course, the babysitter tells the mom later that he was coming on to her.
He came on to her, yes.
And
she's willing to believe it because she thinks there's some girlfriend in Seattle.
But she doesn't confront her husband about this or make the babysitter leave. In fact, the babysitter's like, "You need a vacation." And the wife's like, "Yep." And I don't know if you noticed that scene also. Well, she was manipulating her, saying, "Yeah, go take a vacation." And the wife was like, "Yeah." And she ran. Did you see her in the background? She ran to the house like, "Yep, I'm out of here."
Yeah. Like, get me out of here now. Maybe that was the only scene Patty Duke had to do that day. And she's like, "Yes. It's 8:00 in the morning and I'm done with this miserable TV movie for the day. Get me out of here now."
So then Joanne, in her tight top, she's like, she has dinner with Shatner, and they drinking wine and acting like nothing's going to happen. And John Houseman is on the phone every other scene calling to look into her background. So what am I missing?
Well, you're missing Scotty's fate.
That's right, because I said at the beginning, somebody's going to drown.
Mm-hmm. So and I said foreshadowing.
They go out in the boat because Scotty is like, "We'll do anything she says." Mm-hmm. And he gets knocked on the head and falls in the water.
Yep, and she won't go back to rescue him. And then the next scene they cut to, and at that point I thought that Patty Duke was out of town, but apparently she was back. Oh, she's at the graveside.
Funeral.
So did she ever leave, or did she get called back? I mean, and they have the gravesite, and now the grandfather, John Houseman, is like out for, he wants her, and he calls the cops.
Right.
And at this point, like, we did forget one thing, because we're always talking about these boring parties that teenagers throw. Oh. They did throw a party.
Yes.
And it was, what the hell song were they playing? Oh, by the way, what the hell is that? But at least they were smoking pot.
They're smoking pot. They're making out, drinking.
They're making out, and I don't know what that song was.
They can afford any music. Come on.
They couldn't afford any music. I guess you're right. Yeah, but at least they were smoking weed. Yes. So that was cool. That was way cool. Okay, I just had to back up on that. But so the grandfather calls the cops, and at this point the house is in total disarray. The houseplants are all dead. There's no food in the refrigerator. She's not cleaning the house anymore. Why they still haven't thrown her out?
Yeah, the daughter's like, "Everything in this house is dead."
Yes, I wish she was dead.
I wish she was dead.
And then she overheard her. And then she tells the daughter, "Well, if you don't straighten up, I heard your parents talking about sending you away to boarding school." Mm-hmm. And I told them that I'd think about it. I haven't given them an answer yet. And then Tara, the daughter, says, "Well, the cops are over at the neighbors, and I could just tell them that you let Scotty drown." Mm-hmm.
So,
boom, in your face.
Real cat fight. Since we're not winning any...
We're not winning a Peabody for this.
We'll just call it a cat fight. They didn't have a physical cat fight, though. I was expecting that almost. 1970. Right? Oh, it was 1980. So yeah, cat fight.
So the cops basically tell John Houseman, there's really nothing we can do. We really can't go on this little evidence.
No.
And eventually he does get up with the supervisor at the Department of Social Services.
He steals an address.
Yes. Gets an address. The electricity is out in the house. So he just walks in.
Mm-hmm. Well, he goes to the house across the lake, right? So we should clear up that she just worked at. Was that it?
Oh yeah, and she said that she killed the baby, the mother. The foster mother.
Sorry, I'm skipping. She visited a lady, yes, that says.
Yeah, that she killed the baby, but there was no proof on that.
Mm-hmm.
She
said she blamed it on a lady named Maud. That's what Joanna did.
Maud.
Some lady named Maud killed your baby.
Was Maud, some lady from New York. That's all I can remember.
Sorry. Anyway.
And then so John Houseman goes over to the house where she was staying, the family that allegedly went to Europe. Everything's wrapped in plastic.
Right.
And the electricity's not on. He's going around with this big-ass flashlight.
Mm-hmm.
Just walking around somebody's house randomly. And he gets up to the bedroom.
Moving cobwebs out of the way.
Right. And in the bedroom, under on the bed, under plastic, is the mother, the father, and the son.
Yep.
Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Very well preserved for three bodies that have been sitting there for...
Well, they're wrapped in plastic.
Yeah, but still.
True.
I mean, it was summer.
It was at least 2 weeks, I would say. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, was it her... How long was she there? Because it takes... How long would it take for houseplants? Those houseplants were dead. Yes. I think it was more than 2 weeks.
It was time enough for a cocktail party, a teenage party, and a boating accident. So it was a little while.
Yeah, it was quite a while. They were very well preserved.
They're all dead. Meanwhile, back at the house, Joanna gets a knife because everything's kind of falling apart. I forget what happened now. Why'd she get a knife?
She
wanted to.
Well, let me think. She gave Patty Duke some more pills.
That's right.
And then she knocked William Shatner out.
That's right.
And the daughter Tara saw them and went running down the cellar. She locks his glass door, and Joanna just with her arm smashes it. She should have been cut to ribbons.
Total
but she wasn't.
Bionic Woman type shot.
Yeah, goes into the basement, and the daughter gets away, gets upstairs. She's got the butcher knife in her hand because you knew that was coming. There, the butcher knife. Yes. When she went to grab on the counter, what was the first thing she was going to find? A butcher knife.
Butcher knife or.
Joanna has the knife in her hand, and finally Shatner regains consciousness.
He does,
and
gets.
And he's like, "Call the police! Call the police!" And John Houseman appears, and he's like,
"They're on their way.
Already on their way." And then she gets let off, and Tara gives her that freaky doll.
It's a tormentor.
And then fade to black.
Was this anyone's last movie?
Yes, wasn't it? No, I don't think so. No, it's not. It wasn't anyone's last movie.
All right.
It should have been. It should have been a lot of people's last movie, but it wasn't.
Yeah, not the worst movie, not the best movie. I don't know how many. I guess that's a somewhat common thing. The babysitter disrupts the family by.
Well, it's true.
Sleeping with the father or mother, whatever.
Happens all the time.
All the time.
More than you care to know.
And the restaurant business.
Well, yeah.
There's so many restaurants in our neighborhood where we knew the owners, like a married couple. Mm-hmm. And usually it's 3 restaurants. 3 years later, the restaurant owner's with a younger lady, and everybody's like, oh, yeah, she was a waitress at the restaurant. He's now married to her.
Right.
I swear, 3 times I heard that.
Yeah, it was kind of like when they said, well, we're going to clamp down on sexual harassment in the restaurant industry. And I'm like,
yeah. Who's going to keep watch?
Who's going to keep watch on that, and what's going to be reported?
Oh, I have something to add to this movie. Mm-hmm. We have a famous actor from Star Trek, and we have a babysitter, Joanna. So, as I've been doing lately, I have some little notes here about the ways that the babysitter Joanna is like Mr. Spock.
Okay.
And maybe you can add.
I'm all ears, Tim.
So, Joanna and Mr. Spock are both logical with their advice and ignore human emotions.
Okay.
Second one, Joanna and Spock both want to mind meld with and or kiss William Shatner.
Oh, okay. That's news to me, but all right.
News to you, John. Come on. You don't know that there's a whole genre of Kirk and Spock being lovers? Fan genre?
Oh, no, Tim. I told you, I barely saw the original series. I saw the movies and I watched Voyager because Mary Ryan Finelli from Ryan's Hope was the captain.
Well, there's a whole subculture. Whole subculture.
I haven't even gotten that.
All right. Well, number 3. Joanna and Spock both hate fish and wish to beat them to death in ritual combat.
Is that so? I did not know that. Okay.
And the last one, she and Spock both wrap their dead victims in plastic because that is the ancient Vulcan saran wrap ceremony. How's that for a bad joke?
The ancient Vulcan saran wrap. That is a pretty bad joke, but I liked it.
Nothing to add.
What is there to add, Tim? What is there to add? No, that was pretty astute. I will say that.
And
did anybody give Spock a doll before he got let off by the cops?
Maybe
wasn't that the final episode of the original series? Like Spock was going around with a butcher knife.
No, a doll.
And then finally they gave him this freaky doll. Was the cops really eating him off?
Yeah, I think so.
Is that how Star Trek ended, or is that another lost episode?
This is a mod pod. We don't talk about Star Trek.
Mod pod.
Don't get off the rails. All right, but before we go, we have that. You know what time it is?
Is it time for the SETI Q&A?
Yes.
I'll call it SETI Q&A.
Brain twist.
Answering quizzes.
Theme song. Do you like quizzes, John?
I do love quizzes. I'll call it SETI Q&A.
Brain twist. The BIMCO. I love quizzes.
Answering
BIMCO.
I'll call it theme song. No. A wonderful theme.
Who from this movie would purposely fart in a crowded elevator?
Well, your first instinct would be to go to Joanna, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it would be, I really, really think it would be the Patty Duke character as just like a cry for attention.
That's true.
I think it would be.
Because I would say Joanna too. But then,
right. I mean, that's obvious. No, but I would have to say that Patty Duke as Liz.
I think
just in a cry for attention.
Right.
Would just, yeah.
This question every week seems to have and need the addendum. Who would do it? Who could not help but do it? Because I think that would be the daughter.
That would be John Houseman.
No, the daughter.
Okay.
Because the daughter was so much like maladjusted. I think she also was just like passive aggressively doing that. But John Houseman.
Yeah.
John Houseman too, yes.
John Houseman couldn't help.
He was at the courthouse every day trying to find that address, and every day people in the elevator are like, what is going on?
He was tenacious, I will say that.
So who would have which one or more characters would have a TV sitcom spinoff? And it's not a sitcom, but I think you go ahead.
I think go ahead. Or do you have your idea?
Well, it's not really maybe a sitcom because I think John Houseman could have a Murder, She Wrote. It would be Murder, He Wrote. And he'd be every episode. He's like, this girl's suspicious. It's always a girl. She's always suspicious. And he just goes to courthouses all day. He's like, give me her address. And after a while, they're like, what's this old guy want with these 18-year-old girls' addresses? Something fishy's going on.
He goes to the courthouse. Man's addresses. Wyatt only got canceled after 13 seasons. I don't know why.
Took 13 seasons.
It's the same freaking episode every week. I don't know. I think there's a wacky sitcom with Joanna in prison.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's like something like Orange is the New Black, but just like hilarious.
Because she'd be manipulating people the whole time.
She'd be manipulating people the whole time. There'd be, you know, prison yard fights.
Right.
She'd be trying to escape every week.
True.
And you could have people from the cast, Patty Duke come and do guest appearances, coming to visit her in prison.
It's like Mama's Family, that one character.
Yeah, and then you have the doll.
Yes, the doll would talk.
Yeah, the doll would start talking. There you go. Be like Alf.
This is not sounding funny though.
It's hilarious. Trust me.
Yes, like Alf. Her doll would eat the rats in prison.
Child's Play was supposed to be a comedy, but anyway.
Okay, so who from this show would have a podcast?
It would be John Houseman as Dr. Lindquist.
Wait a minute.
And the episode of every podcast would be, I went to the courthouse.
Tried to get her name.
Dig up information on this girl.
This 18-year-old girl, and they still wouldn't give it to me.
Different girl. Kind of your idea with the TV series, although I think it would just be a podcast.
And 1 week he'd be like, this week I tried to get the information phone number of a 16-year-old girl.
Yes.
They still wouldn't give it to me.
And then the reason why I didn't broadcast last week was because, I was sitting in prison. Because apparently you can't get the personal information on a 16-year-old girl and not be accused of,
He would have been captured on that To Catch a Predator show. He'd show up at the house.
He would. Be like a Dateline every week.
So I was going to say the daughter, because she would grow up and podcasts would be invented, and she'd be doing a show about babysitters. She'd have a podcast where people come on and talk about their wackiest, most embarrassing babysitter incidents.
Or it'd be a really annoying podcast, and she'd just complain every week about her unloving alcoholic mother.
Yes.
Every week it'd be like, okay, Tara, we got it. Unloving, alcoholic, bipolar mother, we got it.
And she misses her doll. My biggest regret was giving that doll away. And she has a little dog that she brings with her everywhere in case she farts on the elevator.
Yeah, and she can blame it on the doll. That was my dolly. Baby farts a lot.
We're going downhill.
We are going downhill. Boy, that Peabody is getting more and more elusive, isn't it? Maybe next season, Ted.
So who would defeat Maude Finley in a fight from this movie?
What's the answer to it every week, Tim?
I guess
nobody.
But what if she got that?
That Stephanie Zimbalist as Joanna would not.
No, she wouldn't have.
There would have been no cops leading her out of the house. She would have been coming out with a stretcher with a blanket over it.
Right. The police would be like, "Ma'am, why did you stab her 56 times?"
I just stabbed her 27 times, Mrs. Finley. It was self-defense. Oh, okay. There'd be no giving her a doll. No, she'd be on a stretcher with a sheet over her going into the back of an ambulance.
And I was thinking she might get on the elevator with John Houseman. I don't know.
Yeah.
She wouldn't have made it to the top floor.
If you rewatch the movie, you look real closely, you can see B. Arthur over John Houseman's shoulder in every scene. But you got to look real close.
Do you think he was doing his best, Alfred Hitchcock, in this movie?
He was doing something. He was just like, give me some money. Just give me some money.
He was well off, wasn't he? He's not like a...
Well, he spent most of his life as a producer, and then he got this acting gig in Paper Chase and won an Oscar for it. Yeah. And then he did the Smith Barney commercials. We make money the old-fashioned way. We earn it.
That was him?
Do you remember that? Do you remember that commercial?
That was him.
Made a lot of money off of that. Yep. He probably made a lot of money. He probably made more money off the commercial than anything else he ever did in his life.
Okay.
On that note.
No, I'm just saying. He was good. I wish the movie was like more of him just walking into courthouses. He's like, I know this 16-year-old girl. I need to know her address.
Really.
I need to know her phone number.
Each week the girls keep getting younger and younger and younger. And then finally ABC's like, whoa, no, we got to cancel this. We're getting letters. We're getting letters from mothers groups. We can't do this anymore.
I'm sorry. That's just getting to me. I just am realizing that because now it's hilarious because in the movie, they wouldn't give him information. And I just realized, it's an 18-year-old girl. And he's like, where did she live? What's her number? Now it's funny to me that they're all like, no, I can't give that to you. Because that's what they're doing in the movie. But at the time, I was like, I just thought it was like a legal thing. But now I'm like, it is a legal thing. This girl's underage.
They gave the reason that now she was 18. She'd have to have his consent. So if she was under 18, they could just give it to him. That made absolutely no sense to me.
He's like, I've been here before and got the phone numbers of 16-year-old girls. What's going on?
She's too old. This is an outrage.
All right.
I'm voting for Ronald Reagan in the fall.
Okay. This is the end. Well, we've gone long enough, and I'm just having too much fun now. I'm having too much fun.
I know, and we blew the Peabody this week.
Next week, we're going to write the plot to the first episode of the John Houseman show.
The John murder he wanted.
Yeah, it's called Murder He Wrote. But every episode, he's just trying to find the number of a teenage girl, and everybody's like, "What happened? Where's the murder?" Sorry, I can't stop laughing.
It's okay, Tim. We can cut this out.
All right. You can tell me later. I'm probably like, it's not that funny of an idea, Tim.
No, it is funny. It is funny. It really is.
But that is the end of our show.
That's the end of our show.
We're talking to someone next week. I'm not going to say who.
Okay.
Because we film these out of order sometimes. We can share that secret.
Yes, these are not sequential.
SETI BIMCO secret, trade secret. And
you think they filmed every episode of Maude in order?
I know they didn't.
Okay, there you go.
I'm not crying. I'm sniffing. I'm crying from laughing. God blow my nose. That's it for this week.
We're still on the air, Tim. That's it for this week. You can email us.
Email us. You want to do it? SETI BIMCO.
No, you do it.
SETI BIMCO with an E at gmail.com. Tell us if you want to hear more about Maude or less about Maude. Dirk, we had no questions about England this week, Dirk. I'm sorry. We just mentioned your name for luck. Was there a British actor in this movie? No. No. Wow.
No, John Houseman, I think, spent part of his upbringing in England.
All right. No questions. No sub-aqua team here. The sub-aqua team probably had to go fish poor Scotty out of the water. But
probably.
Anyway, we're at Twitter. SETI BIM. What is it? SETIBIM.Twitter. And Instagram.
No, at SETI BIM.
At SETI BIM.
At SETI BIM. That's how
Twitter.
That's how you say the Twitters, Tim. at SETI BIM. Although I'm wondering if Scotty's body floated in Canadian waters being part of the Commonwealth, would there be a sub-aqua team?
There could be, yeah.
In Canada.
It might be their jurisdiction.
Something to think about. Instagram.
Have you read that Lake Mead is draining so much and they're just like finding bodies that have been dumped? Have you read this? Uh-oh. I'm not making that up.
I may or may not be here next week.
Sorry. Never mind. We'll talk about that story.
Thanks for the heads up, Tim.
No, moving on. What am I forgetting? Yeah, and follow us on Instagram. SETI_BIMCO. Please follow us. This has been like, if you like this episode, wait till next week when we do the John Houseman show, episode 1.
Yes, episode 1.
The SETI BIMCO players are going to perform that.
That's an idea.
And we're doing it, but that's it. We've talked long enough, John. Show's
John
over.
Houseman and his ballpoint pen eyes smell an Emmy.
The Babysitter. Reach out and, The Babysitter. Go out and do not watch it. It's not that good. Okay?
Okay, Tim.
Goodbye. Do you have anything to add?
What else is there to add? I got these bodies showing up on Lake Mead in my mind. I might have to That's why I said I might not be here next week. Anyway,
Goodbye.
Not for any specific reason. Bye, Tim.
Goodbye.
SETI Bingo is a podcast by Tim Hamilton and John Kelly. Produced by Miss Lee. Music by Tim Hamilton. This has been a Pity Party Line production.
Party line, it's a party line.